Well, in true Shorty style, couldn't get the internet working, but hopefully you're hearing me loud and clear. Watson's on to me early. Yes, mate, I'm 3 to 4 minutes late, but I'm on now, mate. I'm on. But yes, welcome. Welcome to Shorty SuperCoach. If someone wouldn't mind just letting me know that the audio seems to be coming through all right, but feel free to shoot your questions off as we get going. Hopefully get a few through. But yeah, Shorty's gone live. The last time I had a live feed in my bedroom was, and we probably won't go there, but we'll stick to our SuperCoach. Get a couple of viewers. Peter, thank you, Peter. I appreciate that, mate. Because if you've been watching my channel for a long time, you'll understand that when it comes to technology, I'm absolutely hopeless. 9 o'clock hit, and I'm like, sweet, hit live. And it's just going round and round. I'm thinking, fuck, starting to sweat bullets. And I had to log in on the old hotspot on my phone. So fantastic stuff. But looks like we're getting a few viewers through, so I appreciate that. Nikki, what's going on? Appreciate that. Thank you, Peter. So, yeah, fire off your questions. Obviously, we're not too far off SuperCoach getting started now, or the AFL season for that matter. So if you got any questions, Joe, what's going on, mate? Sam, how are you? Jack Watson, Shorty, is it true you were found in a state in the Geelong hotel toilets with your clothes next to you? Well, we'll keep it a SuperCoach, Jack. But my clothes were on, but I was in some sort of state. But how are you going anyway, mate? You pulled a muscle lately, or did you do that dancing? Any other activities? Anywho, oh, good. We're getting a few through. Hey, fellas. Ryan, g'day, mate. You going to the Geelong game Saturday? I'm actually not, mate. I'm actually going to be in Wye River. Had a trip just booked away for a couple of days, so I'm actually not, but I'll be watching on very keenly. Ben Wilson, thank you, mate. Appreciate that. He loves me content. I love that. I really appreciate it. Nathan Harvey, I'll just off the top, I'll try and get to as many questions as I can. Already there's probably a few more than anticipated getting pumped through, so I'll try and keep up. Braden Sear, I really probably need to see a bit more from him this week. He's clearly ready to go. Like, physically he looks great. There's a spot for him to play in the midfield, like with no Treloar. So I reckon there's a real chance that, it could be him, it could be Dacos, Brown. There's a few young guys coming up, but he's high on the watch list. So definitely it's the sort of guy that you probably want to see a bit this week. Lots of centre bounce attendances, and we know he can win it on the inside. So I'd keep a pretty close eye on him, mate. Matthew, what's going on, mate? Thoughts on Jai Caldwell as F2? Probably not at F2, mate. I reckon you're probably asking a bit too much. I like him as a prospect, don't get me wrong, but he's still pretty inexperienced. He hasn't played that many games. He'll just be looking to cement himself at AFL level, which, what's that look like? I don't know. I think he's got the capability of play a lot of midfield time and score some really handy points. I'd probably feel more comfortable with him at F3, but I do think he's a good selection. I just wonder, there is a fair bit going on in that Essendon midfield. You got McGrath, you got Shield, you got Parrish. I guess Heppel's moved out now, but, there is a little bit there. I think he can find a spot in there, though. I think we'd want to see a little bit more from him this weekend just to get your confidence levels up. Jack, again, Shorty, is it true that you're mates with Darcy Parish? Yeah, 100%, mate. 100%. You know the story. Said g'day to him. He gave me about a minute, thought we were mates, and said g'day to him at the traffic lights, and he wasn't as receptive. But that's all right. If you've ever bumped into Shorty at Geelong Hotel, yeah, that's something else. But Sam, again, thanks, mate. Thoughts on Steele Sidebottom? I don't know. There's just something that doesn't really light my fire with Steele. I don't know. I think it's just the fact that he's sort of in that twilight stage of his career, and it just concerns me a bit that he's sort of being pushed out to a flank and a wing, and I know he can still play that position really well and still score heaps of points, but I just feel like last year's average was really inflated. So I just don't like the price. I just don't like the price. like you've probably seen me say a few times, the forward line's done me head in this year. And I've sort of settled on Dangerfield and Martin. And I think with all the mid-price guys like Danaher, Dow, Zeeble, I think you can afford to be, probably just two premiums. And for me, it's Dangerfield and Martin, quite clearly. So I'm not in love with the side bottom pick. You'll want him at some stage, and maybe if you just want to start with him, fair enough. But I personally think I'll get him cheaper, and I just like some other options. Craig, how you going, mate? Good to see you. One of me long-time supporters, so thanks heaps for that, mate. Benny definitely reckons he is in for a big year. Jason Beck, Shoal being good in the pre-season, keep his spot. Yeah, nice. He's obviously a young Adelaide Crow, I believe. I've read a little bit about him. It does sound like he is doing a bit on the track. Nicky, good to see you, mate. Interested in Danger. I've got him at F1. Yeah, 100%. All we really needed to see from Dangerfield was that he was fit, and he looked pretty good. He looked real good. So that's all I wanted to see from him, and he gave us that, so that was good. Got something from Corey. Nice to have you on board, mate. What should I do with 456K? Do I choose Zeeble with a mid-price forward or a defender premium for D5, or Dusty and Oliver Henry? Ooh, he's got me thinking on my feet early. Well, to break it down, I don't think you need a bat to D5 in terms of premiums. I know there's a lot out there in the backline, a lot of reliable defenders, but I don't think you need a bat that deep. I personally think Zeeble's a really good option. And like I touched on before, it's hard to say without seeing your full side, but Zeeble, he's like 250 odd. Could you get Zeeble and Dow? Is that roughly going to fit into your budget? Because if you could do that, that's good. If not, you might be looking at like a Zeeble and maybe a Braden Campbell, sort of a top-end rookie. I do think you want Oliver Henry in your side no matter what. And I think, personally, I want Dusty Martin into my side. I mean, those three guys you've named, Zeeble, Martin, and Henry, I'd encourage you to try and get them all into your side. But I wouldn't worry about trying to fill your defence out. I know we're potentially light on for defender rookies. We'll find out, I guess. But I'd preference getting Zeeble and getting Martin. And I'm sure Henry, he looks the goods. So another question from Jason. Will Berry play for early on? Jared Berry, is that? I probably wouldn't really be considering him. If I've misinterpreted your question, mate, fire off another one. But I don't think either Berry is sort of one we'd be picking. Pun intended. Mitchell Harrison, Oberon represent. What's going on, mate? Up the Catters, good man. Yes, obviously very keen for the Cats to go one step further. Craig, again, got a feeling about Warple, mate. Thoughts? He's just awkward. What sort of price are we looking at? I'll do it on the old lappy. He's just awkward as, I reckon. I probably wouldn't really encourage him, mate, to be honest. Was he like 475? Nah, not for me, mate. Not for me. I think at that price you need to be a keeper, and quite simply, I just don't think he's going to be. So it's probably plain and simple. I know he's point of difference, but maybe keep him up your sleeve for a bit of a draft league. Best F1 and F2 combo from Matt Harms, Dangerfield and Martin for me. I think they're two guys that are just superstars of the game, and they've got the most know what you're going to get factor. You look at Marshall, he's out injured. Dunkley, heaps of concerns, particularly after today, with Beveridge's comments. And Sidebottom, like I touched on before, I don't know. I'm just not in love with the selection. So Martin, Dangerfield, I think you can just bank on them. Zach, starting without Neil and no-go. It's funny you should say that because I was at work today and I was thinking, how am I going to free up a bit of coin? I was like, Neil's had those calf issues, and I can hear you, Watson. I can hear you banging down the keyboard, mate. All right. Neil right now is in my side. I can understand if you think he's a bit pricey, and calf injuries do concern me. Yeah, all right. But Neil's going to have a great season. If you start with him, you're going to be happy. That's pretty fair enough. Are there some options that will give you a similar output that are cheaper? Yeah, probably. But Neil's going to be top 3 or 4 mid for the year. and you could argue he's going to be number one again. So you could mount the case, just start him, cut the bullshit, and you don't have to worry about getting him in for the rest of the season. So, look, is he a must-have? He's pretty close. Cataclysm, don't even know how you say that. Yeah, nice. Yeah, it's funny when you read the name, then you read the question and realize they're taking the piss. But no, mate, simp all you like. Peter's back. I have Butters at F2. That is fairly ballsy. I like it. Personally, Butters probably isn't for me. I love the fact that you're really, it's a courageous selection. I just don't know. Is he going to get enough midfield time? Is he ready to take that next step? They're probably just the questions you got to ask yourself. I guess what's working in your favour is that he probably doesn't need to jump up too much more than 6 or 7 points because our forward line seems relatively weak. I don't know. Butters I don't know if he's going to be a permanent mid. I don't know. There's something about it. Like, I think of Butters and I think like a fast, talented, creative sort of forward who can show some dynamic attributes in the midfield. I just don't know whether he's that in and under guy in the midfield. Like, I'm not sure on the percentages, but look, Rosie looks like he's out for a bit. So any potential that they were going to have Rosie a bit ahead of Butters, that's probably out the door. So, but look, Butters isn't someone I'm going with. Jack Harmon, Joe Danaher, yes. And then he says yes or no. Well, yeah, I would refer to your initial comment. I'm a yes. I can just see him clunking big grabs, kicking bags of goals. And he's probably going to give you like 130 one week and then like 70 the next, and then he'll give you a 62 and then it's a 118. Like, I don't think he's going to give you 80 and 90. He's going to be inconsistent. But Brisbane, if you want a real simple view, Brisbane are going to win a lot of games this year. He's going to kick a lot of goals. If his body's right, he's a good selection. And all we can really gauge that off is his preseason, and it's been flawless. So at that price, it's worth taking the risk, in my opinion. Thickest stump is Degoe, the track of this year. Keen eye on him Friday. Yeah, I've flirted with the idea. I guess Jordan's got a few things going on in his world that probably, create a little bit of uncertainty about his future, to say the least. But in terms of pure football, I think probably not quite to track levels because Petrarca probably went straight into the midfield, basically. He's almost basically a pure midfielder now who will rest forward when he needs to. Where I think Degoe will always be that real dynamic forward option. And I'll probably see him like maybe best case scenario, he plays like 60% midfield, 40% forward. But I think Degoe, he'll average 100 in his career at some stage. And he'll be a guy that we talk about as a premium, I'm sure, because he's pretty handy in the midfield. He can win a clearance. We know that. So, yeah, I don't mind keeping an eye on him. Personally, I'm not going to consider him. I've sort of got a few other thoughts, other guys I probably preference a little bit more, but I can understand the interest. Jack Watson, Grant Birchall, D2, thoughts? Look, Jack, you just keep stretching up that shoulder, mate. Just warm things up before you enter any sort of activity, mate. Any sort of activity. Jack Watson is a good mate of mine, and for those out there that don't know, he is taking the piss. Peter Sobey, Steel Sidey, too old. Yeah, fair enough. And yeah, you could argue his best footy is behind him. He's still a very, very good footballer. I just wonder if Collingwood, are maybe going to preference giving some younger guys opportunity in the centre bounce. I think they probably will. It's probably clear that they will. So let's pick up side bottom throughout the year, I reckon. And let's get me a little beverage. What else have we got? Angus, thanks for jumping on board, mate. He says, hey, mate, thoughts and going deep in the back line this year with putting Laird in the mid. Currently got Lloyd, McDonald, May. Wow. Strap on a massive set of pills. Stephen May, that is impressive. And Zach Williams already in it. Cheers. I love the Williams pick. Lloyd's a superstar. I personally think he's a little pricey, but you know what you're going to get. And McDonald, did I hear some whisper that he may be had some form of injury. Don't know. Might have been reading an inbox. May have not been true. But, if he's playing halfback again, was watching North's intra-club game, he's just doing as he pleases down back. So he should back up the second half of last year. I don't mind. I'd probably cap it at 4. And look, let's just wait and see what the defensive rookies give us. Because you've got Highmore, you've got Jones, looks a real likely type. And then we're probably just going to wait and see, aren't we? So I think options, there's always a few surprises. But you guys know my thoughts. I'm a massive Hayden Young fan. I think he's a star on the rise. Stephen May, if you got Stephen May in the back line, that is courageous. Don't get me wrong. I mean, that's not my cup of tea. But you are going hard in the back line. Langers, how you going, mate? Did you make your bed for this video, Jake says? Well, what do you reckon? That would be a no. That would be a no, mate. Doesn't get made too often, to be fair. What else we got? Smitty's AFL. How you going, mate? Thanks for jumping on board. If you were doing a keeper draft league, who would be your first pick? A keeper. All right, so that's different. I feel as if you'd probably preference ruckman. How old's Brodie Grundy? He's not that old these days, is he? I feel like he's like durable, clearly one of the best rucks. He's 26. I'd almost go Grundy. He's going to be scoring points for years and years. To have him as your ruck for like 4 years in his prime as a keeper league, that'd be pretty tempting. Probably, Clayton Oliver would be another one because I think he's, still super young, but he's a genuine superstar of the game. So I think I'd be probably looking at, either Grundy or Clayton Oliver, I reckon. Two sort of guys, particularly Oliver, is a little bit younger. And I guess if I was really, going super youthful, then, of course, you could mount the case for a number of young guys like Matty Rowell and a few up-and-coming superstars of the game. But yeah, keeper league. I mean, how long are we keeping it? That's the real question, isn't it? But I think guys like, Grundy and Oliver for sure. Jason Beck's chimed in again. Butter's playing mid this year. Well, yeah, that's what they tell us. Yeah, and you're probably right. What we definitely know is he'll play more mid-time. I mean, will he play any time forward? Probably, But, I think if he does play exclusively midfield, then we're going to see him average in the 90s. The question is where in the 90s? Is he going to give us 92? Is he going to give us 98? Some people might think he could even go better than that. But, the devil's in the detail or whatever that saying is. If he can bump it up by 5 points, then we're like, not bad. If he can bump it up by 10, we're like, okay, you're a premium. Fair enough. Josh Berry, I currently have 3 rookies in the forward line. Is it better to downgrade Lloyd to a cheaper primo, Mills or Daniel, to upgrade a rookie to Danaher or keep what I've got? I would do that, yeah. I would downgrade Lloyd because I've sort of been on that case for a while. I think he's inflated in terms of his scores. I know he's done it before, but I just think there's a wealth of stars in the back line, and you've named a couple there. Personally, I'd probably go, you can go either, but Callum Mills, I think, is, if you're feeling risky, Callum Mills, because he hasn't, it's a change of position. If you just want to be safe, then Caleb Daniel, like you said, he'll give you a nice chilled out, bruise-free ride. Like, he won't give you any headaches. And I would personally make Danaher a priority at the moment. I just think that price, I'd be looking at getting him in. That's what I spent most of my Monday and Tuesday thinking about. How do I get this fella into the side? So, I think, put it this way, Lloyd versus Mills, they might average the same. They might average the same. And if not, maybe Lloyd averages 112 and Mills is 104. But I think you're going to get the upside with Danaher compared to a rookie. Watson is back. Langers, it isn't made. You can see it. Yeah, man. 100%. Jonathan, thanks, mate, for jumping on board. I keep finding Dunkley in my side. He was almost out the door. Surely they promised him mid-time. Well, John, I would be getting him out of the side. The way Beveridge spoke today was that he hasn't been in the finest touch, and, he alluded to game time being, tough to find at the Doggies, and I've said it all pre-season. Doggies midfielders, no thanks. There's too much going on there, You got Hunter, you got McRae, you got the Bont, you got Bailey Smith, you got Treloar, you got Dunkley. You got Libba. Where the hell are they all fitting in? Some weeks it'll be one bloke, next week the other guy will get more of a preference. So pick him up at a later stage. I guarantee he'll have some quiet weeks just by the nature of Beveridge's coaching and the extreme amount of positions. When there's that much concern about where guys are going to play, pay the coin. Where I can tell you, Dangerfield, midfield, 100%. Go with that. Martin, we know what he's going to do. He's going to play stacks of midfield, push forward, do what he's always done. I personally think there's a bit of value in Martin. I think it's easily he could average like 105. So, Joe, how are you, mate? Thoughts on Whitfield if he's good to go round one? Probably not. I mean, yeah, if he's good to go round one, that's awesome. But it sounds doubtful. But even if he is right, it sounds as if he hasn't probably been able to do too much. There's some injuries where he can still sort of do a little bit, but it sounds like he probably hasn't done too much at all. So I just think if it was the forward line, the way we're sort of struggling with the forwards, then yeah, I might be like, okay, take that risk. But personally, I just think there's so much to like about the back line. You've got Laird, you've got Williams, you've got Lloyd, you've got Daniel, you've got Mills. If you like Luke Ryan or Caleb Daniel, if I didn't already say him, there's a lot there. So I think any time a guy has a rough pre-season, there's always a chance that they start a bit scratchy. So roll the dice, start with some other premiums that have had good pre-seasons, roll the dice on Whitfield. There's always a chance that he could maybe be a bit sluggish, maybe not 100% fit, maybe just finding his way. Maybe he chucks in a couple of 80s. We can pick him up another time. But what you don't want to do is take the risk and go, all right, why did I start this guy? I knew he didn't have a good preseason. You never want to make mistakes that you could see coming. Joe, I got to Joe. Thanks, mate. Gus, 201, just joined. What's your thoughts on Port Mids, who averages the most? Thanks, Gus, for jumping on board, mate. Appreciate it. I probably still think Boak will be the man. There's nothing. I'm not telling you anything you don't know there. And I feel as if Wines and Rockcliffe will always be consistently around that high 90s, mid-early 100s. I think that's just sort of – I don't think they can go too much higher. I don't reckon Rocky can reach those heights he once did. So I think they're just like your reliables, your Luke Parker style of guy. And I think the variable will be in a guy like Butters. And if Rosie gets going, Willem Drew I really like. But to be honest, I don't think we'll see too much change from Port. I think Boak, Rockcliffe and Wines will do a huge amount of the work in there, and they'll reap the reward from that. So I really haven't seen any – I haven't felt the need to go after a Port Adelaide midfielder. I just don't think there's a lot of them that are really quality without being an absolute standout. So Firkin is he's on board. Is there anyone you really want in your side that you currently do not have in there? And to convince you to select them, what do you need to see from them? Good on you, mate. Love your work. Thanks heaps, mate. I appreciate your question, and thanks to everyone who's jumped on board. This has exceeded my expectations. About 10 to 9, I'm thinking, shit, I hope I get like 10 questions. So I really appreciate that. Is there anyone in my side that I don't have at the moment? A couple of days ago, it was Danaher, but I've sort of worked him in. Probably it's a rookies. Probably I'm just not sure. So to get Danaher in, I had to sort of go a bit skimp on my rookies. And I guess if some of them really come out and say, I'm ready to take this game apart, like maybe a Campbell, Oliver Henry, who was the other? Tommy Powell. He's another guy. If some of these rookies just come out and say, Shorty, you got to pick me, mate. You got to pick me. Then that'll be the thing. At the moment, probably premiums and that. Nah, probably not. No one's going to sort of come out, play well in a pracky game and me be like, shit, got to get them in. It's not going to be like that from a premium point of view. Maybe from a mid-price, angle, I could be convinced by some. I guess Danaher convinced me, but it's mainly the rookies at the moment. Thanks for your question, mate. Will is on board. Thank you, mate. Why are you so confident about Dusty? He's getting older and coming off a down year and fairly inconsistent. Well, I wouldn't say he's inconsistent. I mean, he's just a guy that I know he sort of picks and chooses. Like, Martin's regarded as one of the best players in the game. But if you look at his SuperCoach averages, it doesn't quite add up, which is sort of ironic. But, I mean, he's 29. He's played, look at his averages, 105, 108, 119 is the clear outrider, 104, 100, and a touch under 101 last year. But I just think he's had a great preseason, and I know he can be frustrating. Like, he has games where he doesn't give a stuff. He's like, just put me forward, Dimmer. I can't be bothered today. And then when a big game comes along, he wants to be the man. So, yeah, is he a SuperCoach god? No, he's not. But look at our forward line. That's why I really sort of, if put it this way, if it's like, if we had a stack of forward options, yeah, maybe I'm not starting Dusty, but I've said it before. I reckon we've got the big five. You've got Dusty, you've got Danger, you've got Sidebottom, you've got Dunkley, and Marshall is part of that big five. And there are five that I think you'll need in your forward line at some point, depending how Marshall comes back. So I just think Dusty's the most reliable of those five. I picked two. I've gone Danger and Dusty. I think, for me, I actually think he represents a touch of bit of value. I probably think the worst he could go is high 90s. That's good enough for me. And I still think he's capable of averaging 105. I don't reckon anyone would really question that. But mainly my confidence is brought out of a lack of confidence in other guys, if that makes sense. TMG verse, thoughts on Dunkley, mate? I touched on it before, but if you've just jumped on board, I'm a big no. And previously I've been a big yes. And I'm talking years ago, like last year. I'm a massive Dunkley fan. If he went to Essendon over the trade period, he would have been one of my first pick players, even if he was just pure mid. I remember saying to Langers, going, Dunkley, get him in my side if he gets traded. But no, it's a no from me. There is just too much going on in that doggies midfield. And Beveridge's comments probably sealed the deal this morning. Get on afl.com.au. I'm sure you'll be able to find it. He wasn't exactly heaping praise on Dunkley and just sort of outlined that, yeah, we've got Libber, we've got Bont, we've got Treloar, we've got McRae, we've got Hunter, we've got Bailey Smith. Holy shit, there's a lot going on. And we know that Dunkley is a guy that can play forward. He can play random ruck positions. So, Jason, Samberry, my mistake. I thought I may have been off the mark there. All right, let me get my research on. Pick 28, Samberry to the Crows. Contested ball-winning beast. Ooh, that sounds saucy. He's got some hair on him too. Have a look at the young man. Yeah, nice. Contested ball-winning beast. Berry is strong overhead, clean at ground level. He's a Geelong Falcon. Yeah, righto. Look, mate, to be fair, I'd have to look into how he's sort of gone through the preseason, and it sounds like you probably know more about him than I do, considering I just had to Google to find out who he was. But put it this way, Adelaide, right up there in terms of clubs that are probably going to offer guys opportunity. I mean, they've lost a couple of midfielders, to trade, and even just Miller has gone down. He was sort of earmarked for a bit of midfield time. He's out long term. So, yeah, quite simply, bottom sort of 3 or 4 club. Yeah, I think if he gets going, shows a few signs, he would definitely be in line, because there will be opportunity at the Crows, 100%. Don't know enough about him to make a big call. I haven't heard much about him, but I'll definitely be looking up a few more things after this video. There's 3 berries now, Shorty. Thank you, Jack. Thank you, mate. Oh, yes, Watson's onto it. Oh, you're better than that, eh? Where were you today when I need you, Jack? I just finished work. I want to have a gym session with you. You weren't anywhere to be seen. Disappointing. You're better than that, mate. Jesus. What else have we got? Ryan, calm down. He's a fiery character, mate. You should meet him in person. He's a rough unit. TMG just rocking the skull. Jack Watson's back. Shorty, when can I move in? Gee, I don't know, mate. I know we talked about it, mate, but just your comments tonight sort of cooled on it, I guess. Yeah, but we'll see. We'll see. Matthew Stratus, what is going on, mate? Thoughts on Luke McDonald at D3? Yeah, can't fault that, mate. I think he looks the goods. Only question mark I sort of had was on the position because he's been thrown around everywhere throughout his career. But he won a BNF playing largely as this halfback, rebounder, sort of general down back. So, yeah, I don't see any reason why he can't be a really good premium again. So at D3, I like that, mate. Thickest Stump is definitely a DeGoey fan. Gotta love that. Now, you're going to have to forgive me for the pronunciation here, but Pentalis, Sukakadas, Kados. Oh, geez, I've butchered it, mate. I'm sorry. But thanks for jumping on board. He asks, Shorty, can you please talk me out of picking Rayner? No, I will not pick him. I think he's going places, mate. He's playing midfield time, and my boy Jack Watson, if you're still watching, he'll pump him up. He probably even has. No, he hasn't. He might have later. But, 100%. I reckon Rayner, why can't he explode, you know? He's a former number 1 pick. He's built for the midfield. He was drafted as a midfielder, plying his trade as a forward, had to get fitter, had to do an apprenticeship. He's done that. Brisbane look like they've identified it. They want him in there. Zorko's sort of going to play a bit more forward. I've done everything but talk you out of it. I've talked you right into it. And he's in my side. So, of course, there's risk. With him. He's awkwardly priced, but he could 100% be a good pick. Don't get me wrong. And then Gus is just having a chat to Matt there. Declared, I'm going without a premium forward. Wow. Decide to get another premium, but worried if that's a good move. And decide to get it. Nah, look, mate, I think you need to have at least one. I know we don't have much in the forward line, and I can only presume you're running with Zeeble, Dow, Danaher, maybe Impey, or something like that. Feel free to let me know, but I think you need one. I really do think you need at least one. I personally think it should be Dangerfield, but look, I just think you leave yourself with too much risk there. Obviously, your other lines will be strengthened, but you're probably leaving yourself open to, you're probably rolling with a Caldwell or something like that. You're leaving yourself to a hell of a lot of risk in one position when there are some good premiums. Not many, but there are some. And I've seen a lot of people just rolling with 2, some even 1, and I get that. But to roll with none, I personally think is too risky, mate. I'd look to get at least 1 in. Obviously, it's horses for courses, but that'd be my advice. Jack Watson is back. Legit SuperCoach question. Yeah, good, mate. Need cheap rookies. Talk to me, of course. Also, thoughts on Laird. I'm scared of him. What are you scared of him for, mate? He's playing midfield. The Crows have said that. They loved what he did there late last year. He's going to do it again. He's a ball magnet. Personally, I've got no qualms. I think he's going to just be an easy watch, personally. I think he's a ball magnet as a defender, and he showed a lot around the stoppage. The Crows like what he do in there. We like what he does in there, so I'd be getting on board. In terms of rookies, well, I always sort of think let's just wait till round 1 because that's when there will always be a few guys we think will get picked and they don't. There's always a few that we didn't expect and they do. But in the back line, Tommy Highmore for the Saints, got to have him, I reckon. Lockie Jones at Port Adelaide showing a lot of good signs. In terms of the midfield, you've got Eli Smith. I'm not telling you anything you don't know there. Is Oliver Henry, is he midfield? Cockatoo probably won't play round one, they reckon. Connor Downey, Tom Powell at North Melbourne. There's a few pies as well. Will Bianco play? Will McRae play? Will McGuinness play? Phoenix Spicer for North Melbourne's looking good. We've got Waterman, kicked 4 for the Bombers, rookie price now. I read an article from the Pies. Isaac Chugg was a bit of a bolter. There's a bit to entertain us at the moment for sure. Let me just have a look at my side, see what I got cracking. But they're the main ones. But to people out there sort of losing sleep over the rookies, I wouldn't worry about it. They'll work themselves out. Once those teams drop, we'll be able to work it out. Gee, I've got my internet running to an absolute nth degree. Can't even work. Also, Watson, Snapchat from Sammy Nelson. That's interesting. So what else do we got? Brady, Eva, Ray Duggan at D4. Not so much. I'm not overly enthused about the Duggan selection. Yeah, he's going to play midfield. Or at least a bit more midfield. Nothing really excites me about him. I know he's a quality player. He's done some good things in his career already. He was a highly rated junior. I think he played a fair bit of midfield as a junior. I just think if he was a forward, obviously he never would be, but if he was the same type of option as a forward, I'd be all about him. But I just think in the back line, it's not necessarily to say Duggan can't be a good option this year. I just think the back line's offering so much reliable stuff. Like I said before, Laird, Lloyd, Daniel, Williams, Mills. There's 5 guys just off the top of my head that I think are better selections. You can throw Luke McDonald in there. So I don't think there's a need to go searching for a guy that might be a premium. And he might be. He might average somewhere in the 90s. But I feel like there's better options and guys that are cheaper and just north of him, guys that are reliable. So it's not necessarily a hard knock on Duggan, but probably just preaching to a really impressive backline that we've got at the moment. Ryan's just having a bit of back and forth with Watson, Brady, Lloyd, Laird, and Williams ahead. In your backline. Yeah, fair enough, mate. Yeah, well, so you've got those. Again, I suppose Caleb Daniel and Mills, probably guys maybe I prefer. And you could maybe even throw Luke McDonald in there. Luke Ryan's a quality player. So, like I said, it's not to knock Duggan's ability, but maybe just, tip your hat to some others out there. Dylan's up. Good, mate. Good to see you. Tom Phillips at F2. I'm not really a Phillips fan. If you've seen some of my... let me just get a water here. If you've seen like my Hawthorn preview or just me discussing mid-prices and stuff like that, he's never really done it before. He's averaged, I think his 2 best years, he averaged 90 and 83. Change of club. He's an outside midfielder going to a pretty weak team. He'll get a stack of opportunity. Don't get me wrong. Like he'll own one of those wings. It'll be his. But I don't reckon he's the greatest ball user. I think he can find a lot of the ball. He'll have like 29 touches and just, score like 91. I don't think he always correlates to amazing SuperCoach efficiency and that type of thing. How there's just some players that mold better to certain styles. So for me, it's a no. He's underpriced. Like if you want me to say what do I reckon he'll average, I'm probably thinking high 80s. Best case scenario, like I'm putting his range at, like 86 to 92. That's my thoughts. I'm not in love with the pick, but there's a lot going on in that forward line. So I'm not going to knock anyone's suggestion in terms of forwards because it's hard to bank on it. Phillips, he's just not my cup of tea this year. G'day, Shorty from Christian. Thanks, mate. How you going? Appreciate having on board. White Shadow, how are you, mate? He's a long-time supporter. Thoughts on Bolton? Yeah, I didn't. Did he play on the weekend in that game? Don't know, but I'd be keeping a close eye on him. I was actually doing a bit of a script and just a few notes on a video that I'm going to do probably tomorrow morning of just guys to keep on your radar for this weekend. And he was on there. There's a stack of names on there, of course, but he's definitely a guy. But similar to Butters, these are two guys that are on the rise, talented mids who have played forward and will probably continue to play a little bit forward. And given our struggles in the forward line, we're not asking stacks. We don't need a lot to go right. You know, you don't need a massive increase in your numbers, in your average, to probably be fairly relevant in the forward line this year. You know, I think he averaged 86 last year. All he probably needs is another 7 or 8 points to be solid. Like I've said to previous questions, I probably prefer some other guys, but I really rate him. If you saw some of my videos early on, I feel as if he was my Richmond breakout contender, might have been. So, yeah, definitely rate him. Corey, thanks for joining in, mate. My team. Oh, shit, he's gone the whole team. All right, where are we? Oh, boy, I've stuffed the scrolling. I've butchered this. Jesus. I might struggle to touch on your whole side, Corey, but if you've got, and I might come across it anyway, from what I can see, I'm liking your side. I've just had a look at the defenders and the mids. I like what I see. If you've got a direct question, shoot it my way. I'm just sort of struggling to see the full team. Yeah, there's a lot of sort of comments coming up in between, so feel free to ask me a question if you haven't already. But, yeah, appreciate you jumping on board, mate. And from what I can see, that team looks pretty solid to me. Yeah, absolutely. I quite like that midfield. Clements, we've definitely spoken before. Hey, Shorty, you still confident about dunks? I'm a regular. You thought I was going to say it, didn't you? And I nearly did. And I'm seeing Dunk's midfield 2019 numbers turns me on. Well, his 2019 numbers turns me on too, mate. But not so much if he's playing forward. So, no, I'm not confident in him, and I never have been. So, not this year anyway. Like I said, too much going on in those doggy forward line. Aussie Tiger, thoughts on having just Dusty and Rayner in the forward line and get another premium defender? Look, like I sort of mentioned before, I think you can, with an array of mid-priced options in the forward line and a lack of premiums, I can understand that. I definitely think you need at least one. You've got that there. Rayner has the potential to be another one, so I understand that. Yes, you can go that way. I personally feel a little bit more comfortable rolling with 2, but yeah, 100%, you could definitely do that. Brendan Chapman, Will Day as my D5. I probably think that's a touch risky. Still such a young, raw prospect, died. I think he's obviously a huge talent. What's he priced? I'm hesitant to test out my internet, you know what I mean? Will Day's stats. Oh, is he 384? Nah. Definitely not, mate. I didn't realise he was that pricey. Nah, I wouldn't. Not for that price, sorry, mate. Huge talent, but I feel as if that POD is just too pricey, and I don't think he's got the scope in terms of his scoring. So, and yep, Corey's gone the Gawn and Grundy option. It's a pretty popular one. Mitchell Harrison, he's back. Been struggling with 500k mids apart from Cripps. Thoughts on Laird at M4 so I can fit in Lloyd, Mills, Williams in the back line, then swing Laird back after downgrading. Yeah, I must admit the 500k mids are tough. They are tough. And you're probably right. Having scrolled through quite a bit myself, yeah, there's not much. There is a guy called Jai Simpkin that has caused quite a bit of discussion. I'm rolling with him. I'm not a Rail fan. Love him as a player, not as a SuperCoach prospect this year. But yeah, I personally, get Cripps. There isn't a stack else to really fall in love with aside from your absolute premium mids. I was really a big fan of Taylor Adams. Not sure if he's going to be right for round one. So, but yeah, the idea of having Laird in the middle and then eventually swinging him back, yeah, I like that for sure. In terms of the mids, let's stick to what we know. You know, if you can find that extra K to deal with the Olivers and, you know, well, of course, the stars that we know. Neil's getting up there a bit, but, you know, the guys that we absolutely love and do it year in, year out. But don't mind. I'm seeing a few people roll with Laird in the middle. Jack Watson, where's the pina colada? On a weekday, mate? Come on, I'm not an alcoholic, brother. No, I've had one before, but I think oh no, I'm away this weekend and you've got a party as well. But a couple of weeks time, Jack, when you move in, cocktail night, look out. Gus is back. Shorty on the Voddy sodas on a Wednesday. Couldn't fool you. Could not fool you. Absolutely polishing this one off. It's going down an absolute treat, Gus. Ryan Hutton. G'day, mate. How are you? Thanks for joining in. Loving the videos. I have Adam Chera at M5 over Rao, Taranto and Green. Thoughts on saying Chera? I actually love that. The only thing I'll say is the young man pulled up with a bit of calf tightness, and calf tightness scares me. Ever since the day I cramped up at Stead Park representing my school in hockey, I cramped up in one calf. I was on the far side too. Cramped up in one. So, you know, when you cramp up in one and you put more pressure on the other, double cramp. So I just fucking fell over. Anyway, PTSD there. That's off topic. I think he could, of all Freo's young mids, I think he's the most exciting. You know, more so than Sarong, more so than Brayshaw, more so than whoever else you want to throw at me. So I really love his prospects. Just see what he gives us this week. Make sure he's fit and firing. I like that you've gone an alternative to Rao. You know, there's a bit of risk in that midfield with Chera, Taranto and Green. If there's one thing I'd maybe say is maybe minimise your risk with so many guys in there. But I do love the Green selection. I prefer it over Taranto, to be honest. But let's just see what he produces. Ben Wilson, thanks for jumping on, mate. I think we had one from you before, didn't we? Zach Williams is lining up in the back line. Do you think he will be there for long? Thought he might play mid. No, I'm not sure. Let me know where you saw that. But no, he'll definitely be mid, mate. No doubt about it. That's why he went to the club. It's been all the rage. If they, you know, very occasionally he may start there, but he's come to the club to be a midfielder. So definitely no concerns about that. He's just been named there, has he? Yeah, right. Yeah. Don't worry. If it's team lineup sort of stuff, don't stress. No, he'll be in the guts. Don't you worry. Jude and Co. You prefer SuperCoach Talk or AFL SuperCoach 360? No preferences, mate. No preferences. I'm a SuperCoach HQ guy back at heart, you know, back in the day. So I still love those guys as well. Nah, they're all just platforms and we're all just batting for the same team. We all love our SuperCoach and we all just want to get some content out there. So both have great audiences and I'm personally chuffed to be able to contribute to both. So that's been great. Thanks for the question, man. Ben Wilson. Oh, yeah, he's just having a little chat to someone there. Miriam, I'm liking Butters in my side right now. Yeah, okay. So there's a bit of love for Butters, isn't there? It's interesting. It'll be interesting. I've sort of, excuse me, too many vodka raspberries. But, yeah, like I said, if you didn't hear me before, he's not in my side. He's probably not someone I'm sold on, but he could very easily average in the 90s, and that might be good enough. So he'll definitely be high on the watch list for a lot of people by the sounds of it for this weekend. John Smith, Shorty, he says, Zorko, question mark. It's a massive no from me, John. I can see Zorko sort of heading into the twilight of his career, and my man Jack Watson, Brisbane fanatic, tells me very similar. In fact, I reckon he said it. Yeah, he said it down below. Nicely done, mate. So, like Watto has sort of outlined, heading to the twilight of his career, I think they're going to probably prefer to expose the likes of Berry, the likes of Rayner, the likes of McCluggage, the likes of Zach Bailey. So, it's a no from me. Travis Bowen, hi Shorty, going to try Clark from the Saints and Harms and Hayden Young and Isaac Cumming. Oh, Jesus. You've gone nuts in the backline, mate. Mills and Duggan. Still iffy on my backline, but want good pods. Well, Jesus, man, you have gone some good pods. I like Young. Cumming, I haven't looked enough into, but there's a lot of hype about him. Love Mills. I've said my piece on Duggan. I think I'd probably say no to Duggan because he's point of difference, but you've got a lot of point of difference in there already. So I would probably, if I was you, Hunter Clark, watch him this week. How much mid-time is he going to get? That's the question because I'm a massive Hunter Clark fan. You guys would know this from last year. Huge fan. Can he get those midfield minutes? Because when he does, he's going to be a premium. So Harms, similar. He's a different sort of ilk to Clark, very different type of player, but is Harms going to head back to the midfield? If he does, he's shown that he's very capable of a lot of tackles, a lot of clearances. I guess overall thoughts on your back line, it's a lot of point of difference, which is great, but depending what the rest of your side is doing, there's a hell of a lot of risk. I'd almost be tempted to go one of Harms or Clark, and maybe you downgrade the one you choose not to go with and upgrade Duggan. Because I personally think there's so much reliable stuff in our back line, so many good premiums, that's probably not the place to take a lot of risk. Like I've sort of said before, forward line, not a lot of premiums that we can bank on at the moment. Maybe that's where you roll the dice. So just something to think about. Jack Watson, good mate, just hitting him up on the Zorko stuff. I think Zorko's midfield time will be restricted this year. Very, very good point. Langers is back. How's the couch, mate? Talk me out of Tom Green, Shorty, I dare ya. I'm not gonna, mate, and you put this on the radar. A couple months back, Langers messaged me. He's like, Tom Green. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about, bro? And then I started doing some research, started really actually thinking, not that I didn't know who he was, but when you think of someone and off the top of your head, you're like, nah. And then you really think about it, you're like, actually, yes. And I'm massive on him. In fact, me, Watto, and Langers, all massive on Tom Green. Certainly did himself absolutely no concerns on the weekend. Looked really good. I saw a few quarters of that game, and he looked really good. Gus is back. Can Hayden Young be a potential 85 plus? He's taking kick-ins over Ryan now, and maybe used similar to that of Ridley, utilising his kick as much as possible. 100%. I think the sky's the limit for Young. Just watch his highlights on YouTube. I think they're maybe playing Gold Coast. Anyway, there's one highlight where he gathers, gets it back, and he spots up Walters with just a beautiful inside kick, just weighted perfectly. Great composure, decision-making. I'll tell you what, first month, they'll be talking about him on the couch at some stage, going, who is this young Western Australian, Very much so. I mean, probably not too much beyond 85, to be fair, but he's definitely capable. He's clearly their go-to guy in terms of the kick-out. And if you're that guy, then if he's running past for the handball, you give it to him. If he's clearly the best kick in your side, or at least the back half, that is always SuperCoach friendly. Always. And as if on cue, Jack Watson is all about Tom Green. Nice. White Shadow, his burn is on the rail. His bum is on the rail. Shit. I don't even know what's going on there. Anyway. John Smith. I've lost it there. I have Danger and Dusty, not sure who to pick at F3. Yeah, well, I have Danger and Dusty, as you might have already heard. I mean, look, my personal preference is Rayner at the moment, but a lot of people are suggesting Butters. It's totally personal preference, you know. Some people like Heeney. Some people, you know, are preferring to go straight to your mid-pricer at F3. So just weigh up your side. But what I wouldn't do is I wouldn't go Dunkley. I wouldn't go side bottom. And clearly I wouldn't go Marshall. So keep scrolling. You'll find yourself around 400K. See if anything takes your fancy. If it doesn't, keep scrolling. Head along to Zeeble. Head along to Danaher. Head along to Dow. You know, that'd be the direction I'll be going. Braden David, thanks, mate. What's going on? Caldwell or Green? Now, I presume that's Tommy, even though most people are probably looking at Green in the midfield and Caldwell forward. But Tom Green by an absolute mile for me. Strudel, Whitfield, a bit of a line ball, I reckon. But if fit, do we pick him round one? I had a question about this earlier, and I don't reckon we do. You know, there's so much going on in the back line, so much positivity, so much reliability. You can bank on about 6 guys. So I don't think there's any need for us to pick Whitfield over someone who's had a good preseason and is bankable. You know, and best case scenario, maybe he chucks in a lower score, you know, and we can pick him up a bit cheaper, around 5 or 6. So I think there's a lot to like in the back line. So I wouldn't be rushing. I wouldn't be jumping at Whitfield. Blessedy 011. Everyone knows it's Butters. All right. I'm not sure what that one was in reference to, but there is a bit of love for Butters. Daniel, when will you set up your leagues? Yeah, good point, mate. I normally do those sort of in the lead-up days. So I reckon, what do we start on Thursday? I'll probably drop. Actually, that's a good question because I probably want to have about 5 or 6, or at least 5. I'll do a video on that actually, mate. Thank you. I will probably drop one on Sunday. And maybe, you know how I do it. I normally do a video. I'll do a video on when I'm dropping every league. I'll schedule those videos with the codes. So, yeah, 100%. We'll get those leagues going. Peter, currently I have Liam Duggan at D4. Well, hopefully you heard my thoughts on Duggan. If you haven't, I'll just say them again. Sorry if I'm repeating myself a touch, but some people probably tune in and tune out, duck in, duck out. I don't think the back line's a place to be taking the risk on a guy like Duggan, who might be a premium, but there's about 6 blokes that we know will be a premium. Hold that risk, bottle it up, click onto your forward line, pull the trigger there. That's my opinion. There also is a lot of West Coast mids. There really is. And I know Elliot Yeo is probably going to leave a bit of a hole, but I just prefer, when I look at the back line, I just prefer like 5 other guys. So I just don't feel the need to take that sort of risk, I guess. Sam, thanks again. Thoughts on Matt Flynn at R2? You'll be able to set the rest up in different areas. Probably too risky for me, mate. Look, yeah, he's going to ruck a lot, but the bloke's never played at the level. We've got no idea what he can do. Will he hold his spot? It's just too risky for me. 100% R3, of course. But for R2, you're just leaving yourself open. Like he could just come out and score like 51 and then 70. He could throw in a 40. You know, he could do anything. He'd come out and average 90 for the first 4 weeks. I don't even know. I could run into this bloke on the dance floor at Geelong Hotel. I wouldn't know who he was. But I wouldn't be starting him in R2. That's as much as I would know. Billy Brannagan. Ooh, that's a mouthful, but I like it. I like it, Billy. Please talk me out of Heeney. Now, this I can do. This I haven't talked a few people out of a few things, but he's playing a bit forward. They're probably offering other guys midfield minutes. He's sort of come back better from that injury, but I just think they're probably promoting other fellas in that midfield. You know, Blakey, Mills seems to have got that. I feel like there's always one or two Swans midfield positions that could maybe be taken up by a youngster, and it feels like it's definitely Mills. And with the fact that Franklin is like maybe not fully fit, and they just love Heeney's ability up forward. It pisses me off. For God's sake, play him as a midfielder. He could be a superstar, but I just think, it's probably too risky. I've said it before, like, pick a couple that you like from the Fab Five and the forward line. Well, it's a Fab Four now because Marshall's injured. Pick a couple of those and then roll out some mid-prices, or maybe take a risk on a Caldwell or a Rayner or a Butters or a Bolton, Spice it up in the forward line. I think that's the place to go. But Heeney, I can talk you out of that. I've had to talk myself out of it. Anyone who knows me knows I've got a slight man crush on the bloke. And it did hurt to take him out of my side, but I think there's some safer options. Pete, I've convinced you on Dusty. Thanks, mate. Thank you. I appreciate your contribution, mate. You're smashing out some questions. I like that. Damien, thoughts on Tim Taranto at 453K? Yeah, we've seen Taranto mentioned a couple of times, but probably haven't touched on him fully. He's like top end. Oh, jeez. Nearly pulled my charger out. We're still on. He's like top end mid-price. And I don't know. I just think, for me personally, I'm starting Josh Kelly and Tom Green. So immediately I sort of go, geez, there's a lot of Giants going on there. So I probably naturally haven't looked at him, but I'm not sure he's the best ball user. I'm not sure how much mid-time he will get. Like, I shouldn't have said that. He'll play a lot of midfield, but they do like to play him forward a little bit as well. It's weird. I don't get it, but I've probably just erred for other options. I've probably just opted for other guys. He's just a little pricey for me. I'm not convinced that he can be a premium. If I'm guessing how much he'll average, I'm thinking early hundreds. Now, is that going to be good enough for you to hold him all year? Because at that price, you probably need to hold him all year. That's your intention, I'd imagine, because he's not like he's going to make you money. Like, if he makes you 100K, you're not trading him out. Like, if he gets a 550, it answers itself. You're not trading him for cash. He's a keeper. So he's really not in there to make coin. He's in there to be a premium. And I don't think he can go beyond 105. So that's my rationale, or that's my rationale. So he's just not for me. But, so thoughts on Tom Green? Thanks, Cause. Massive fan. I've touched on him a couple of times this video. I think he's got huge Clayton Oliver vibes. I reckon he's going to really take his game to the next level. And what I saw is that the Giants really want him inside too. That's what he is. He's no forward. He's no wingman. He's an inside mid. And I think that's where he'll play. And I think he'll have a really good year. The 9. Are you still rocking with Draper? I am, mate. I am. Where am I? Yeah, still rocking with him. Am I fully convinced? Probably not. Do I want to sort of shake up my side that much to get in Gorn? Again, probably not. So, at the moment, I'm not going to go Gorn and Grundy, and I'm not going to sit here and tell you not to, if any of that made sense. It's just my preference. I want to go for the structure and the shape of my team. I want to go Grundy and a mid-pricer. As soon as Bruce went down, Draper's my man. The sky's the limit for him. Now, he could come out and average 72 for the first 4 weeks. I could be tearing my hair out. But equally, he could average 100 as well. And that's not me getting carried away. Like, he could genuinely average high 90s. And in the early parts of the season, he could be right up there. Number 1 ruck, highly touted, huge VFL numbers. And we know what ruckmen, when they develop, can do when they finally hit that mark. So the floor's his. Essendon, main ruckman, do your worst. It's all yours, Sam. If you're good enough, you'll be a star this year. Paddy talks. Dangerfield is getting old. Well, he is, but he's also getting midfield time, and he's still a star. So lock him into your side. He's gone. Yankos. I'm going to butcher this one too. Stodgden. No, I can't, mate. I can't say it. Stanojvoski. Oh, that's shocking. I'm sorry, mate. I've just I appreciate your comment, and I've just butchered your name. Hey, mate, I'm going 13 guns, not getting sucked into mid-price. I've got to respect that, mate. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. If we want to simplify this game, what do we want? 22 premiums by, I don't know, early on in the second half of the year. So to start with 13 guys that are keepers means you, in theory, only have to do 9 upgrades. So, yeah, if you have enough faith in some rookies, then you can 100% roll with that. And mid-prices, they do burn you a lot. They do. I'm also probably, if you haven't got a question off, fire it away. But I'm probably not going to go too much longer. I've probably got 10 or 15 minutes. I'll try and get through them as much as I can. This won't be the last live session, particularly after the success of this one. I must admit, we're rocking at like 75 at the moment, which I can't believe, really. I genuinely was hoping to get like 20 max at some stage. But so it won't be the last live session I do. So I really hope I get to all your questions. But I'll definitely go live again, hopefully next week before we, start the season and stuff. So I'll just keep ticking away a few of these, and yeah, we might go to like 10:30 or something like that. Marcus, yo, Shorty, love the content, mate. Thanks, pal. Thoughts on Impey and Tom Mitchell as a primo? Thanks heaps, mate. I really appreciate the feedback, and thanks to everyone too for your comments and also your feedback. It really is appreciated that a lot of people have been getting around the content because, I've put a bit into it this preseason, actually. Like, I've really been trying to get lots of content out there. So to see that's been well received really makes me, want to keep going and do a lot more. So thanks to everyone out there. It's funny you mentioned Tom Mitchell because I was on break at work and I was actually looking him up, just wondering where he was at. It's a no from me, though. He looks like he's really racing the clock. And with a shoulder too, and shoulder reconstructions for an inside mid. And the fact that it was a post-season operation sort of suggests that he's taken a long time to get over this. And remember when Clayton Oliver had a lot of struggles with the shoulders, and first half of the year he was struggling? I think for an inside mid who's doing a lot of in and under work, he's racing the clock. I don't reckon we go with him. And Jarman Impey, he's a watch for me. Personally, I did a video on him, Dow, Danaher, and Zeeble. Really broke it down. So if you haven't looked at that, feel free to check it out. But for me, he's probably number 4 on that list. But that's not to say he doesn't have upside. Watch him closely this week. I'm probably not bold enough to go with all 4 of those mid-price types. So naturally, he was squeezed out. But he's super cheap. He's playing halfback flank. So that's a pretty handy role, but also he's sort of played that role before and he's never really scored amazing. So you might have a better read on it than me, but he hasn't probably lit my fire so far. He hasn't got me super excited. I'm probably leaning towards those other blokes. Jonathan's back. Minimum number of starting premiums, potential to be premiums, i.e. Simpkin, Rao. That's a really good question, actually. And I think minimum is 10. And you could probably mount the case for 11. And if you really want to break it down, this is how I always look at it. We got 30 trades, yeah? So say you start 11 premiums. And let's hope, for God's sake, they all stay premiums. That means you need to upgrade 11 times. And in theory, you probably need to downgrade 11 times. Sometimes you might get a bit more coin here, you might get a bit less coin there. It evens itself out over the journey. So in theory, to turn those 11 premiums into 22 premiums that we want, that is 22 trades. Because if you're doing downgrade, upgrade, 2 trades, 11 premiums times those 2 trades, 22. And that leaves you with 8 trades to sort of, probably cope with injury and maybe selection and that type of thing. And maybe if you're lucky, a luxury trade or 2. So, yeah, I think you want to really try and get 10, 100% premiums, and then, yeah, maybe 1 or 2 Simpkin types. I'll tell you what I've got at the moment. Yeah, it's something to definitely think about. You don't want to leave yourself chasing tail too much towards the end of the season. So I've got Laird, Mills, Williams. Midfield, I've got Neil, Oliver, Kelly, Cripps, and Simpkin. Again, you count him, but he might not be. Grundy, Dangerfield, Martin. So I've got 11, and I suppose you throw Rayner in there, actually. So I guess I reckon I've got 10 genuine premiums, and then I've got Simpkin and Rayner. So, I could end up having 10. I could end up having 12. We'll see how those selections go. Ben Cunnington, Leo O'Brien says, nah, not for me, particularly even. I think he's struggling with some concussion at the moment. So for me, he's as consistent as the day is long. If you want a guy to just win your contested ball and average 98 or 101, he's your guy. But he's not cheap. He's not that cheap, really. And people have sort of, I think he's misunderstood. Like, he's a very good player, but he's not a SuperCoach super premium. He's never averaged over 102, I'm pretty sure. So he's not a guy that, unless he's real cheap, we should be going after. And I don't think he's cheap enough. So it's a no from me, even more so with the concussion stuff. Strudel's back. Who's the top content creators in the scene, and why is it Zinger's faulty SuperCoach? I don't really know what that second bit is. Top content creators. Well, aside from like Facebook pages and stuff, I mean, SuperCoach George, he does a lot of good stuff, and he's probably the main one that I see popping up a lot. And he's doing some really good stuff. I see there's actually a stack of YouTube. When I first started this channel, I don't reckon there was another YouTube channel doing SuperCoach, like stacks of Facebook pages and blogs and stuff like that. But I remember typing in SuperCoach, and I was the only one popping up. Nowadays, there's heaps, which is great. So there's lots. I see a lot popping up. I think there's like SuperCoach Doctor, and there was some like heaps. There's heaps going on. I used to listen to Jock Reynolds a lot. I still listen to them a bit, but obviously Jock isn't sort of doing it. Back in the day, SuperCoach Page was dominating, but so there's a few throwbacks. Yanko's back. Rookie guys will get 50 to 80. Yeah, it's really tough, mate. I mean, look, predicting what rookies score is so difficult. But if you want to know a couple of rookies, I'm not sure if you're sort of asking that, but look, definitely Jones, Tommy Highmore in the back line. Look at Tom Powell in the midfield. Waterman, cheap, could be in the mix for round one for the Bombers. I reckon Eli Smith line up for the Lions. Connor Downey, Granger Barras, definitely the Hawks, the Crows. I'm sure they'll be offering some opportunity to some youngsters. So will North Melbourne. But yeah, can't wait for those round one teams. Aussie Funny Farm, get on the pingers on the. No, mate, no. I'm strictly alcohol. Actually, like, not that I don't think anyone who goes live on YouTube is going to admit to being on the gear, but no, I actually am a pure alcohol sort of guy. I love a drink. Don't get me wrong. If you ever see me out on the dance floor, probably a vodka raspberry in one hand and probably one in the other, but no gear this weekend, mate. But yeah, if ever you're around Geelong, get along to the Geelong Hotel, mate. Corey's back. Why is Tyson Goldsack in SuperCoach when he retired 2 years ago, 192K? Well, I think he has come back. He's on Port Adelaide's list. He's in some sort of weird coaching playing role, isn't he? Let's see. Not that you'd go anywhere near him. Yeah, so they took him in the rookie draft. I mean, he's clearly just like sort of insurance, and I presume he's looking to play like a leadership role, do a lot of coaching and that sort of thing. So, yeah. No, it's quirky, no doubt about it. But, yeah, not something we should sort of lose sleep over. Let's not get sucked in with these 200K guys, says Yanko. And that's fair enough, but there is some value there. There is some upside, and I know you don't want to overload your team with mid-price guys, but there is some method to madness. You don't want to have too many, but there are success stories over the journey with those types of guys. And it all depends on the rookies, really. If we've got rookies coming out our ass where we can just pick heaps of guys, good job security, all that sort of thing. But the fact is we don't always. So I mean, I'm pretty sure if Danher's kicking 4 a week and, Dow's playing great position, getting 20-odd touches inside mid, then they're good selections at less than 250K. So it doesn't always have to be exclusively guns and rookies, but clearly it's the most successful method with a sprinkling of mid prices. Benny Wilson chiming in, good man. Marcus at Jake Langenegger Photography, good stuff. Yeah, get along to Langer's YouTube channel. He does some good stuff there. Can take a photo. Jason Beck, thanks for the question, mate. Just to help you, Shorty, Jared and Tom Berry brothers at the Lions. Sam Berry, only Victorian picked by the Crows, and the rest were homegrown. Thank you, mate. Yes, I was a little slow on the uptake there, wasn't I? But thank you, mate. Langers again. Oh, some of these must be slightly out of okay. Yeah, it must be slightly out of order, perhaps. But you're just answering the gold sack one. Yeah, nice. Pentillis, thanks, Shorty. Keep up the good work, mate. Love your content. Thanks heaps, mate. I do appreciate it a lot, because there definitely are times, when it's like before I start doing the videos, there are times when I'm like, oh shit, do I keep, do I do it again, sort of thing. So I really appreciate all the feedback, and this has been really, really good, to be honest. I was really hoping to do one of these, get some more engagement with the subs and sort of talk to you in this fashion. So this has been cool. I reckon we'll go 10 more minutes. And then, I reckon I'm going to kick back and watch The Office or maybe Scrubs. Where are we? Raw Toasty. Oh, shit, it's Shorty live in action. It is, mate. It is. The Raw Toasty. What a name. I like that. Josh Garlick, what's going on, mate? Thanks for tuning in. Thoughts on Tim Taranto, M5? Is it too shallow? Cripps at M4. No, I don't think it's too shallow. Put it that way. I think, what have I got? Neil, Oliver, Kelly, Cripps, Simpkin. So Simpkin's my M5. I think 4 premium mids at the start. That's all good. You might have caught me saying it before. I'm not all in on Taranto. I'll say it again in case you missed it. And again, sorry if I'm repeating myself. If you've tuned in for the full hour 20, unbelievable scenes, but a lot of people have float in and float out. So sorry if you've heard me say it a couple of times, but some people may have not. I just don't think he can be a premium this year. I don't reckon he can go beyond 105. I think he'll average really good numbers. And at that price, he's sort of mid-price, and yes, he's unders, but it's still a really competitive midfield. He's still a young man. You're not picking him to make coin, and I don't think he's a keeper. So I think he'll have a really good year. I reckon we'll pick him in the future. He's just not for me this year. But he's popular, no doubt about that. William Glanville, is Jake Lloyd a must-have? Nah, he's definitely not. A lot of people probably say he would be, but he's just a premium. He's a fantastic premium, probably going to be one of the best defenders for SuperCoach this year, but he's not in my side, and he's not a must-have, and that's in the eye of the beholder. I genuinely feel he will average between 107 and 112. I really do believe that. I've had egg on my face before for that, but I don't think he's a must-have, mate. No. You feel free to free up a bit of cash if you need. But again, if you pick him, he won't let you down. So it can go both ways. Do you have to start with him? No. Do you need to get him at some point? Yeah. So just depends how you go about that. Yanko's got a couple of comments. Lock in Scott from the Dogs. Anthony, is it? Is it young fella? You reckon he'll get games? That's interesting. Yeah, I'll look forward to seeing what he does sort of on the weekend. Excuse me. Let's not get sucked. Yeah, he's hard on this. He doesn't like a mid-pricer. Watto's back. I sent the girls the link to this channel. Jesus. You didn't, did you, Jack? You didn't. Oh, boy. Interesting. Oh, that could have been the video then. Fuck, that's good. Jason Hughes. Thoughts on Dunkley now after what Bevo said, mate? Nah, like I wasn't keen on him earlier, and I'm certainly not keen now. And you know, if you've listened to my shows and my videos and stuff for a while, I've been saying this for a long time. There's too much going on in that doggies midfield, and he's just a part of that. And I just don't want to be near it, to be honest. There's so much going on, so many mids in there. And Bevo's comments this morning just about poured cold water all over it. So, yeah, it's a no from me. Watson, I'm watching that video. That's insane. Let's have a look at this. Sammy, you're insane. Oh, that's hilarious. Let me reply. Oh wow, fuck, that's funny. That is funny. All right, let's knock off a couple more questions. In fact, I'm just about caught up. Yanko's sort of in my camp there, mate. Yeah, not a fan of Duggan. Yeah, I'm probably there with you. Paddy reckons Shea Bolton's a good pick. Declared he's back. Thanks for answering my question. No worries, mate. My team, his forward line is Rayner, Caldwell, Danaher, Impey, Dow. F6 is a rookie. Yeah. Yeah, cool. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, look, like I said before, man, I would try to just get one in there, one premium. That's all I'd say. And how you go about it, look, I'm not a Rail fan. I've said it before. If you want to look at my Simpkin versus Rail video, you can. We're just asking too much of this kid. Like I said, Taranto. I don't think Taranto can be a premium. I don't think Raul can be. He'll have a great year, I'm sure, but a lot of pressure on him. You know, teams are going to do lots of homework on him. The kid's played like 5 games. Anyway, it genuinely baffles me that people think Raul can be a premium. Look, he might average 100 or whatever, but I'd be shocked if he is in people's teams all year. I'd be shocked. Holy shit. All right, I'm not nearly caught up. Fuck. Jesus, man. That is... I actually thought this scrolling thing like loads as you get to it. I thought I was nearly caught up, but oh man, I'm sorry. I'm not going to get to everyone's question here. This has been insane feedback. I really appreciate it. I really do. Adele. Hey, Adele. I'll just scroll right to the bottom. How are you, Dalsy? Oh, that's flattened me. I really wanted to get to every question. God damn it. We're gonna have to work on a way. Raw toast. Yeah, when I read this in an hour, spot on. Thanks, mate. I love you guys too. I love your support. Hey, Mitch. What's going on, Mitch Harding? Thanks for chiming in, mate. Appreciate it. Brandon Clark. Do I know you, Brandon? Are you the same Brandon that goes to the footy? I don't reckon Dom Tyson is a good option. I don't think so. I reckon it's a good comeback story. I reckon he'll have a decent year, but I'm not sure he's ever showed the real scoring potential. And I reckon there's a bit going on in North Melbourne's midfield, and I think there's a few ahead of him. You know, if Cunnington's right, Simpkin, I think they'll promote the likes of Powell and Phillips. You've got Jarman, really reliable midfielder. So I think Tyson could get games. He's definitely unders, but I probably like some others, to be fair. G'day, Brody. Thanks, mate. Thanks for tuning in. Look, I'm probably going to have to wind this up, guys. I really am sorry. There's a lot of questions here. Benny, thanks, mate. He loves me content. I really appreciate that. Sixpence, yep. Green, he is an absolute bull. Yeah, so there's a lot going on here, and I'm absolutely spewing. Aaron Chapman, how are you, mate? Oh, you kind of forgot. No, that's all right, mate. You're here now. Fuck, there's a lot of questions here that I'm just not going to get to, and yeah, I would love to sort of go all the way through, but I've got work tomorrow, and Shorty needs a little bit of downtime. You know, I like to just put the trackies on and jump on the couch and unwind. I'll probably watch Scrubs. I reckon. Yeah, it's hard to not read the comments. Jamie, who will win the 2021 Premiership and why is it Geelong? I actually needed a tip from you. I'm actually tipping Brisbane. Set up a PO box for fan mail. You're a bloody fool, mate. He's still coming. Watson, what time are we gymming tomorrow? Are we rolling with like we did, Dalsey. We did. We had a kick of the footy tonight. So yes, you're right. You'll have him tomorrow, and then he moves out. How about that? 7 p.m. Mate, I'm working late. That ain't gonna work. Get to any time. If you go to any time, I might work out in the morning. I'm doing shoulders, so but Friday, I need you there. Friday, I need you spotting me for some chest. yeah. Yeah, good stuff. Cooper, what do I do for work? At the moment, I'm just delivering groceries for Coles. I'm in the van, ordering groceries online. I'll get them to you. That's sort of I was most people probably know I was doing sports journalism for like 7 years. Worked at Geelong Addy and the Courier paper in Ballarat, but I've sort of changed it up, and I'm going to study youth work. So a bit of a change in direction. So at the moment, this sort of gig is just to kind of get me by. I was in a job that I just sort of had to get out of previously, and this is what I was able to land thanks to a good mate of mine. So yeah, this is just sort of paying the bills, but it's actually pretty good. Chuck the radio on and, pretty chilled. So, but eventually, Jesus Christ, I need some more water. Eventually next year, I will study youth work, I think. I think that'd be quite rewarding. We're getting off SuperCoach now. What's your gym split? Well, most people would say that I regularly miss leg day, and I couldn't argue with that. I might preference arms. You wouldn't know it though. If you can't get your arms right, just buy an extra small shirt. That's what I do. And if that's not doing the trick, chuck your shirt in the dryer. That'll shrink that bad boy right up. I'm going to have to wrap it up, guys. The questions are flowing thick and fast, and I love it. It's honestly gone well beyond expectation. Not a word of a lie. At 10 to 9, I was thinking, what if I get on and no one asks a question within 5 minutes? Like, what am I going to talk about? So I was thinking, had a couple of notes about what I could talk about if I had to waste some time. But insane feedback. I really appreciate it. We've still got like 50 people on now, which is great. So I'll definitely do this again. And I wouldn't mind even opening it up, just talking some shit as well. It's a bit of fun talking about work, talking about gym and stuff like that, because a lot of my channel is pretty serious. I try to sort of lighten it up a bit when I can, but more often than not, we're talking numbers, we're talking SuperCoach, but I don't mind having a bit of a laugh. And, I reckon, Watto, if you're still there, mate, I reckon we might have to go live. Sort my Twitch account out, mate. Sort that out. We might have to go live. And maybe we will break out the pina coladas, just break out a couple of beers. Friday night beers with Shorty, with the footy on. So, I definitely appreciate all the support, because like I said before, sometimes when you're doing a video, you're sort of like, God, who's watching this, So to see such feedback is insane. So I really appreciate that. And I really do stress, I'm super sorry that I didn't get to everyone's question. It's certainly exceeded expectation. I thought I was talking to Langers on the phone, and he's like, "Oh, I reckon 40 minutes should do it." I'm like, "Yeah, 40 minutes." It's like we're an hour and a half. So thanks again. It won't be the last. It definitely won't be the last video we do. So I hope if I didn't get to your question tonight, I hope you can be back soon. Off the top of my head, well, I'll check my roster next week, but certainly, maybe a Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday. It'll just depend when I'm working. So jog on, Watson. Go on, mate. But yeah, I'll catch you guys soon. I'm going to drink about 1 litre of water now and, hit the couch and kick back. So, yeah, thanks again. I've got a video coming out on Friday, and I think I'll do one at some stage tomorrow. Just some guys to sort of keep on your radar for the weekend, but that's pretty broad. And then we'll probably have a break over the weekend. I'm off to Wye River with a few mates. That should be fun. And then it'll be full throttle. We'll get my leagues out. I'll preview every relevant player in the game. So that's something I've done previously. It seems pretty popular, so I'll do that. And then there'll be lots to talk about, by the time these pracky games are done with. So thanks again for everyone that's jumped on board. Like I say, if you've been a subscriber for like 5 years or you've just come aboard in the last 5 weeks, I really appreciate all your support. So I'm going to wrap it up in what is one of the longest outros of all time. But we'll be back. Got to work out how to turn this off. Oh, yes, the big end stream. That's probably the one. So good stuff. Thanks again. I'll post this video up. Anyone who missed it, you can watch it tomorrow. So thanks again. Cheers.